Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Eimear McKeown. Today's top stories. The Taoiseach has outlined how a decision on eventually lifting COVID-19 restrictions will be made. Gardaí in Dungarvan say they've stopped people travelling from as far away as Kilkenny to go to the beach. The number of patients with COVID-19 at University Hospital Waterford remains unchanged. And in sport, Carlow footballer Ray Walker will not contest his 4-year ban for a failed drug test. The Taoiseach has outlined how a decision on eventually lifting coronavirus restrictions will be made. Leo Varadkar has told the Dáil there's still a long way to travel before things can return to normal. Our political correspondent Sean Defoe reports.
The Dáil's meeting this afternoon to discuss the coronavirus on the eve of an announcement on the future of restrictions. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar played down how much may be lifted next week, saying that while he wants to show there's light at the end of the tunnel, we're still in that tunnel and will be for some time. He outlined the criteria the government and health officials are looking at when it comes to lifting restrictions.
Our 5 criteria are as follows: the progress of the disease, healthcare capacity and resilience, testing and contact tracing capacity, the ability to shield and care for at-risk groups, and the risk of secondary morbidity and mortality due to the restrictions themselves.
The Taoiseach said tomorrow a phased plan will be outlined with measures easing every 2 to 4 weeks. It's also likely to set out a step-by-step plan for the coming months to give people an idea of what to expect and when. Sean Defoe, Leinster House.
Gardaí in Dungarvan say they've stopped people travelling from as far away as Kilkenny to go to the beach. Checkpoints are in place across Waterford City and County to ensure people are only taking necessary journeys. Sergeant Alan Toft is the sergeant in charge of Dungarvan Garda Station.
In general, people are compliant, but we have noticed certain amenity areas where people have been going to, and in conjunction with the local council we have organised for a number of car parks to be shut. And this seems to have the right effect, the likes of Clonea or Colligan Wood. Unfortunately, we've had instances where people from as far as Kilkenny have turned up at Clonea Beach. We've had people having picnics in Colligan Wood with their children, which is totally unacceptable in the current climate. You should only be travelling 2k, and personally speaking, if you have to get in a car to travel, you shouldn't be getting in the car to travel. If you can't do within walking distance, stay at home.
He says it's not only cars that they're stopping.
To the likes of buses now, say the local link that's travelling in from the likes of Tallow and Capperquin, we're now boarding those buses and we're ascertaining what people are travelling for and what their reason for travelling. And we have come across instances where people are just coming in from out west just for the day to get into Dungarvan, because obviously, like everyone else, they're cooped up and it's affecting a lot of people and they just want to get out for the day. But again, it's not acceptable. It's outside 2k. They shouldn't be travelling if it's not essential. For example, we're stopping people at Youghal Bridge coming across from Youghal, travelling up to Dungarvan to go shopping. You can shop in Youghal, there's plenty of shops there. We'll also get instances where people are 2-3 people in a car going shopping. One person should suffice. There's no need for 2 or 3 people to go to the shops.
The number of patients with COVID-19 at University Hospital Waterford remains unchanged at 7. However, there are 14 suspected cases awaiting test results. That's according to HSE figures from last night. 2 patients remain in intensive care. Elsewhere in the southeast, there are 17 confirmed cases in St Luke's and Kilkenny, 10 in Wexford and 2 in South Tipperary General. Banks and other lenders are to offer a 3-month extension to mortgage payment breaks for customers affected by COVID-19. They'll now last for 6 months and will be available to personal and business customers. Stephen Murphy reports.
Last month, the industry agreed to provide 3-month payment breaks to customers financially impacted by COVID-19. Today, the 5 main banks, along with other lenders and credit servicing firms, have confirmed the breaks will be extended for another 3 months, lasting 6 in total. The Banking and Payments Federation says over 65,000 mortgage payment breaks have been granted in the last 6 weeks alone. CEO Brian Hayes says there's still time for people to avail of them.
So if you're a COVID impacted customer and you've seen an implosion of your income and you have a mortgage with your bank, you can apply up until the 30th of June to be covered either by the 3-month break or ultimately by the 6-month break.
The Federation says customers don't need to contact their lender about extending the payment break. The provider will contact them. Some of the detail has yet to be worked out with the central bank, and David Hall from the Irish Mortgage Holders Organisation thinks there needs to be more clarity.
After 90 days, the central bank deem loans non-performing, so any announcement today must clarify that anybody going into arrears after 90 days will not be constituted or categorised by the central bank as being non-performing.
People will still be charged interest for the months when no payments are made, and that'll be added to the overall amount they owe.
A man arrested following an armed robbery at an off-licence in Waterford City on Tuesday night is expected to appear before a special sitting of the District Court later. The incident occurred at 8:45pm when a man with his face covered and armed with a hatchet entered the number 21 off-licence at Tyrone Road. He threatened a staff member and demanded money, and while the cash was being removed, another staff member wrestled the hatchet from him and he fled on foot in the direction of Paddy Brown's Road. Nobody was injured in the incident. A 29-year-old man was subsequently arrested and is still being detained pending a special court appearance later. Radio has emerged as a vital medium during the coronavirus outbreak. A poll of 1,000 people carried out by Ipsos MRBI shows 96% had listened to the radio in the last 4 weeks, with 9 in 10 listening in the past week. Des Whelan is the Managing Director of WLR.
Radio listenership has gone up again, which is very good. It's up at 91% of adults listen to their radio every week. That kind of listenership we haven't really seen since the mid-90s, when there was just the local radio stations and a couple of national channels, no social media, not hundreds of TV channels, so it's really good for radio.
He says it's the medium that people trust.
Really trust us, right up there with television as the place that our listeners go. You know, in times, I suppose, of great stress and distress, for news they can trust. So that's very encouraging. And another interesting, I suppose, fact that came out was obviously there's a lot less people listening in their car because of the driving restrictions. So lots of people are listening at home. And of course, there's lots of opportunity for them to listen at home now with smart speakers and mobile phones and computers.
Poetry Day Ireland, which is taking place today, is the latest festival to go online. Now in its 6th year, the annual event is a celebration of the written and spoken word. People are being asked to take part from the safety of their home. Poetry Day Waterford will see well-known poets such as Eddie Lenihan and Emmett Kerwin reading their poems online. Organiser Anna Jordan spoke to Mary O'Neill on The Fringe.
Just got everybody to send me their videos in. Some people have written stuff which I'll throw up on the Poetry Day Waterford page as well, and I'll work off a couple of different medias as well. Like I have Modwords page, and then there's Waterford Arts page, Waterford in your pocket. You know, we're going to try and spread it out. But we'll have to get some really cool people to get involved. Emmett is internationally famous, as is Eddie. We'll have the All-Ireland Slam champion Donnelly Lynch.
WLR Sport, Ireland's local station of the year.
The GAA and Sport Ireland have confirmed that Carlow footballer Ray Walker will not contest his 4-year ban for a failed drug test. The 35-year-old tested positive for the banned substance, meldonium, in an out-of-competition test taken in February. Walker had originally lodged an appeal against the length of the suspension, but informed Sport Ireland yesterday that he was withdrawing his appeal. Longford footballer and GPA rep Mickey Quinn, who played Australian rules football, says he experienced differences between the professional and amateur setups.
I haven't been tested here. I have been in Australia. I've been 9 seasons here, but of that, I think I've seen 2 tests. This year has been 1 with our county. But I suppose new players onto a panel are going to be coy, and it's not really going to be the first thing that they're going to be doing is making sure everything's asking the doctor if they're taking Lemsip or taking this, is it okay?
There's reports that PSG will be crowned French champions despite the season being ended early due to the coronavirus pandemic. A French media outlet says any potential relegations and places in European competitions are yet to be confirmed. PSG were 12 points clear of Marseille when the season was suspended in early March. The Premier League plan to test players and officials for coronavirus twice a week if they return to training. The proposal will be presented to the clubs at a shareholder meeting tomorrow. The Premier League will pay for the tests and privately source them to avoid taking resources away from key workers. WLR asking you to stay at home. Our next bulletin is at 2.